If you look at the debate really well, they just see eye to eye on everything. They seem to agree with each other. Then you will think to yourself, why call a debate in the first place? Canada's housing crisis is unrelated to Trump. Our overburdened healthcare facilities has nothing to do with Trump. High cost of living, low productivity among the G7 nations, the population trap we found ourselves, the woeful standard of living right now in the country, those are not caused by Trump. It's caused by the same people standing on the podium, not by Trump. The four candidates failed at doing that. And that's because they all, together with Justin Trudeau, created the mess that Canada is currently going through right now. The Canadian auntie who is taking policy advice from a 4-year-old. How did over 200 million Canadians sign a petition to revoke Elon Musk's citizenship? There are 5 major takeaways from the Liberal leadership debate that we saw just the other day that I believe will shape the future of Canada, and that's what I want to talk about in this monologue this time. Let's get into it. The first and important point is the undeniable fact about all the candidates on the Liberal race. Whether you like the Liberal Party or not, there is a fundamental reality about each one of the candidates on the race right now. And please hear me out here for a second. Don't click away yet. I think it's very important to acknowledge this point. Going by their record, all the candidates have done really impressive things in their careers. You take, for instance, Mark Carney, who was a former governor of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. He has extensive experience in economic policies and global finance. He has managed major financial crises and shaped monetary policies for 2 of the world's largest economies in the past. And then you have Chrystia Freeland, who is Canada's current Deputy Prime Minister and the former Finance Minister in Canada. She has worked as a journalist before for reputable organizations. She played key roles in trade negotiations for Canada before as well. She led Canada's economic response as well during the pandemic. And then there is Karina Gould, who has been a minister and a member of parliament for over a decade. She's a prominent figure in shaping Canada's child care program and has led many initiatives on affordable housing and social policies in the past. Then you have Frank Baylis, who is a former member of parliament and a business executive. He has a background in innovative technology with a focus on public policies as well in the past. He has also been a very successful businessman in his own rights. Well, if you haven't clicked away yet, let me say something else that you might disagree with, and hopefully you don't click away. Just hold on for me here. We can almost safely assume that all these candidates are intelligent in their own rights. And I think that will lead me to the second point in this monologue this time, which is the lack of intellectual diversity. If you look at the debate really well, each candidate seemed to agree with each other about every policy plan, whether it's about economic growth, geopolitics, energy, or defense. They just see eye to eye on everything. They seem to agree with each other. Then you will think to yourself, why call a debate in the first place? And how come that 4 adults who have worked in really high-profile positions in the past, who are among the prim and proper of society, how did they come to a point that they left intelligent conversations and even possibility of disagreement in favor of their liberal brand, the liberal philosophy, and the throwaway critical thinking during the debate and on the campaign floors, be it on the economy, on security or energy? They just seem to see eye to eye on every issue. And I know some people have compared Freeland cozying up in friendship with Carney with conservative debates here in Canada or even among the Republicans in the United States. And people have concluded that the conservatives don't seem to agree on any issue. But I think I would disagree with that for a moment here. I think the bedrock of society, or even you could say the bedrock of true science, which is my field, in the pursuit of wisdom in life, is to open up your hypothesis to scrutiny and debate, and not by discussing your thoughts and ideas in an agreeable echo chamber. There's wisdom, actually, in disagreement. But instead, we see these candidates clung up to party philosophy. They're cozying up together, agreeing and looking detached from reality, while Canada continues to struggle through an economic crisis right now. They've really robbed themselves of a genuine critical analysis and in-depth thinking to be able to chart a pathway forward for Canada. out of the economic woes and several other issues that are befalling the nation right now. They almost felt scripted. They felt rehearsed and sort of devoid of any unique ideas, just which was overwhelmingly true from that debate. And I think this is just a symptom of a much bigger problem in Canada. And I say this because it's the same thing you'll find among academics whose work are shaping public policies or shaping mindsets and opinions, especially for the younger generation who are in the universities right now. Also, pick up any academic journal, especially in social sciences. You can almost predict the thoughts, the thesis in the work, the approach that will be used to solve the problem, their result, and their conclusion. You can almost predict everything. It's almost like there's an academic spell on Canadian institutions. And I say this as someone who spent quite some time doing academic work and research as well. The Canadian mindset about don't offend, be respectful, don't call out anyone, don't hurt anyone's feelings, which ends up robbing people of intellectual rigor and the possibility to even foster change, either individually or within the society. And think about it like this. If everyone in your life tells you you're doing the very best thing and there's no room in your life to improve anything, then there is a high possibility that you could self-destruct without a warning. You could become ignorant of your faults and become alienated from wholesome appraisal of life or purpose or meaning in your own life. And that's what we saw demonstrated among these liberal candidates. They have a woeful appraisal for leadership requirement that is saddled upon them by 44 million Canadians. I'm certain you're enjoying this conversation right now and you can't wait to get back into it. But permit me to hold you for a second here. More than 95% of the viewers on the channel haven't subscribed yet. And it goes a long way in helping the channel. But if you can click on the subscribe button right now, it will go a long way in helping to improve the quality of the work on the channel and the quality of guests that you see on this channel every time. Please do me that favor, click on the subscribe button. I want to achieve 20% subscriber to viewer count this time. This will lead me to the third point that I want to talk about, which is their obsession with Trump. Whether you talk about Freeland, Karina Gould, or Baylis, the obsession over Trump is quite jarring for me. This was the most striking topic actually during the debate and even on their campaign trail right now. Of the four candidates, though, Freeland seems to be the most obsessed about Trump. She went as far as saying that Trump is the greatest existential threat to Canada right now. She seems obsessed over defending Canada from Trump at all costs. She seems like she thinks that Trump is the biggest threat to Canada's future, even more so than Canada's internal challenges. And I think that's not little. Canada's housing crisis is unrelated to Trump. Our overburdened healthcare facilities has nothing to do with Trump. High cost of living, low productivity among the G7 nations, the population trap we've found ourselves, the woeful standard of living right now in the country, those are not caused by Trump. It's caused by the same people standing on the podium, not by Trump. And I know politicians always use this emotional hook on voters, especially during debate, but Freeland's hook that we saw in the debate was below the intelligence threshold, in my opinion. Freeland's opening and the most profound reason why she wants to become the next prime minister was about her encounter with a 4-year-old little girl who obviously was coached by her mother, who asked Freeland if she could stop Trump from invading Canada. And I thought to myself, seriously? I guess she wanted to sound really cute to all of us, but that shows how disconnected from real issues that she has become and really mental lightweight in her arguments. It sounds like she begins to diminish the economic woes that is befalling Canada right now and make excuses for a fight against Trump and against their political opponent, Pierre Poilievre. And let me talk about the fourth point, which is the fear-mongering tactic. The four candidates are running off of the same playbook. They're claiming that Pierre Poilievre is dangerous to Canada. And obviously, the Liberals' tactic to win an election is to frighten Canadians about Conservatives. Trump is an existential threat to Canada, while Pierre Poilievre is dangerous to Canadian values and culture altogether. It's a failed tactic, actually, from the American Democratic playbook that we saw last year. It was the cheap and unreasonable responses that ruined Kamala Harris at the polls last year. And it's the same that we've seen for these four liberals, the fear-mongering tactic about Trump and about Pierre Poilievre. I get why they're using it. It worked for Trudeau in the past, in 2019 and in 2021, on issues related to gun control, on abortion, on gender-related issues. But I hope Canadians are beginning to see through such nonsense now, because the political climate is even different now. Not now when people's personal finances are in question or even in danger. The four candidates presented no concrete economic plans, in my opinion, other than wanting to scare the nation about their conservative opponent. In the end, they made themselves sound clueless and detached from reality and seem to have other plans for Canadians other than our economic prosperity or even individual flourishing. They sounded like weak leaders almost, who wouldn't even stand up for anything they believe in during the debate. And good luck. Good luck to Canada if any one of these emerge as the Prime Minister. But let me talk about my last point here. The last point is about the underlying problem with weak leadership in Canada. You take, for instance, Freeland and Gould, Karina Gould, who had 10 years to fix affordability and housing problems, and now they're presenting themselves as the savior. It's hard to really buy into this narrative, especially when they had every opportunity to address these issues, but they blew it. Mark Carney can hardly also criticize the last administration, and that's because he was a close advisor to the same administration, but now he's positioning himself as the one who can really solve the crisis at hand. And by the way, he was the only one who talked about a crisis in Canada right now. And then Frank Baylis, who could have actually been a wild card, but he blew the opportunity to be the authentic person among the four, since people even hardly know him right now. And I believe any leadership that would not be bold enough to call out Justin Trudeau's errors and how it destroyed Canadian identity and economic interest, in essence, would hardly do anything that's different if elected into office. The fundamental trait, in my opinion, and from my learnings, the fundamental trait in any leader is to have a vision, to be decisive about that vision while listening to the concerns of the people that they lead and provide a roadmap for the future. The four candidates failed at doing that. And that's because they all, together with Justin Trudeau, created the mess that Canada is currently going through right now. That's why you see them singing the same song, the same rhetoric, in unison with emptiness, with fluff, with unclear purposes, an undefined pathway forward. And Freeland repeatedly said that Canada is not broken. That's because Canada is broken and she was the architect of the damage. We still haven't heard from her till now about the $60 billion deficit that she left as the finance minister in the fall of 2024. Now she's sounding like the Canadian auntie who is taking policy advice from a 4-year-old. Now let me wrap up on this thought. There is a real danger in voting the same set of people who led Canada into the current havocs that we are right now. There is an enormous, dangerous, and unrepentantly dismissive set of people who are actually on the stage on the Liberal platform right now. And I think that cannot be dismissed. In the end, we all know anyways that Mark Carney would emerge the winner on March 9th and have a face-off with Pierre Poilievre. All of that seems to me is just following the American playbook altogether from the last elections. Well, there's a lot I've said here, a little unscripted here, just saying my thoughts about the candidates on the Liberal Party. But I want to know what you think in the comment section about some of the things I shared. I shared 5 important points. And by the way, how did over 200 million Canadians sign a petition to revoke Elon Musk's citizenship? It sounds to me like we have a huge problem with the Canadian mindset, folks. It's ridiculous. But this is the issue that unites Canadians, not other issues that are even more pressing within the system with affordability right now. It's revoking Elon Musk's citizenship that unites 200,000 Canadians and counting. Well, I'll leave the issue for another day before cops show up at my door this time around. Well, if you made it this far, you likely found sense in some of the things I said, or maybe annoyed you enough. Well, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on social media where I share more thoughts like this. I'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Revaluate is a project I embarked upon to spark meaningful conversations that can inspire critical thinking as we navigate the adventures of life. The analytics on this channel show about 95% of the viewers on the channel haven't subscribed yet. So you do me a favor by clicking the subscribe button right now. Then I'll keep my promise to continually improve on the quality of the conversations that are produced on this channel every time.